Good afternoon, class. I am going to do a videotape of the questions that were asked. There are 7 ways of racism. One is the question is, how was your knowledge expanded from this information? My knowledge was expanded by this from the information that I received on the video, and it was expanded when I heard about the research that um, Professor Janice Townsend history and research that she did. One was about slavery and how slavery began, how it happened with schools, um, Native Americans, Europeans, deserters, and conflict imported Africans. Then it talked about in 1619 and 1808, it imparted indentured servants. Now that's important to me. So it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't know none of this happened. I didn't know those were the years and the dates. Then it talked about segregation, the fear of uprising if people would come together. Then they had scientific racism that was very interesting to me because it was talking about the idea with white people are superior. And I was like, what? So there's a lot of information that I didn't know about. And that is very interesting to me. Then it talk about the different states in 1600, Mexico, Empire, Utah, California, and Texas. It just go on and on and on and on. And that's the first video. Then there was another video that I wrote down, and I'll just give you a little bit because I don't want to give you the whole thing. I mean, it really just had me to be enlightening and just to learn so much. So I'll just give you a little bit because I know I can't read the whole thing. I'm going to have to answer the other questions at the same time. So I'll give you a little bit. Systematic racism is the kind of racism that affects the very structure of our society. Okay? It may be difficult to detect. That's what it's saying. And I was like, wow, you just never know. And so that means systemic racism has been going on for a long time. Because sometimes we don't even know systemic racism is happening to us. It's talked about there's police departments, there's different offices, how white people occupy positions and decisions, and they're getting fair cases, the crime rate, and how the crime rate is with the whites and the blacks, and how a white person would get off with the crime, but if it was a black person, they would get more time. It's just interesting. It's like, oh my goodness. Then they're talking about dog whistling, and they talking about that has to do with politician and the different presidents that they had. Ronald Reagan, you name it. It was so many. I think it's Lynn Johnson. I hope I'm getting the names right. It was so many. I just was shaking my head like, oh my goodness, all of this is the history that I didn't know of. And I took history classes, and I can't believe that I didn't know this. It made me watch the video like 3 times. I'm just watching the video, and I'm like, oh my goodness, all of this is happening. And the years that it was happening, it's just like, oh my goodness. So, as you can see, I have learned so much. Then the other question she was saying was, and it's so many questions. Was there anything you thought and you knew part of the myth that has been challenging? Yes, some of the things that was really happening in the United States, oh my goodness. I couldn't believe it was really happening in the United States. But then if you think about it, it is happening. It's still happening. It's just very quiet. The other question says, have you heard of dog whistling? The term? I've never heard of it until I watched the video. And I was like, I did not know that was going on. You know, there was a lady that was speaking, and she was talking about all the different terms, and she was talking about welfare and how government aid, and it was like, what do you think that is, and can you give the terminology what it is? And then if you think about it, welfare, you're thinking about black people, Latinos. No disrespect to none of anybody's culture, but it's just what it was on the video. It was so much information. I took it all in. I can't really tell the whole video. I would say just watch it for yourself. Now, they was asking the question about what questions do you have about all of this that I received. My question is, do you have more research on this? And if you do have more research on this, please inbox me about the information, because I would love to read more about the information or videos that you have. Ms. Raymer, if you have any more videos, please send them to me. Feel free to send them to me, because I would love to hear about it, and I can share it with my son that's 13 years old, so he can know and he can prepare himself when he goes to high school. Thank you.